on Game Day scoreboard as we have a final in mini 27-20. Tense moments always in the land of the Viking. Another one-score game and another one in the loss column here for those Vikings. Cousins 29 of 47, 284 and 2 touchdowns. But most notably, Justin Jefferson held in check and then some. 3 receptions for just 28 yards. All right, let's take you back out to Minnesota where the lead voice of the NFL on CBS joins us. Tony Romo making his weekly visit. Tony, it is always a pleasure, and it's always wild when this Vikings team is out there playing just about anybody. In another one-score game, and again, on the wrong side of it, such was not the case last year. What have you made of some of those bounces that maybe they got last year they're not getting this year? Where are the inefficiencies?
Well, I think the biggest thing is they turned the ball over way too much going into this game, and then they talked about it all week, and it's like, we're going to have ball security drills, do all these things, and of course, right away, starting the game, they fumble, they give a short field to Kansas City and get in a hole. And sometimes these games can be as simple as that. Kansas City didn't turn the ball over. Well, you go look at the history of the NFL for 100 years, and the data tells you the percentages with each turnover. It's 70, 80, 90% each time, and it played out that way again today. Last year, they just didn't have those untimely turnovers. And right now, they're putting themselves in a hole early, and they just can't quite dig themselves out of it. But give Kansas City credit. They played outstanding today. Yeah, offense is moving the ball for Minnesota, but maybe not putting points on the board at the rate they did a year ago as well. To your point on Kansas City, I mean, high octane has been the last half decade. And maybe they are still trying to effort a little bit of that identity we talked about a couple weeks ago. Are you seeing that starting to come into form? There were even moments without Travis Kelce in this game. The identity of Patrick Mahomes and his targets, they try and figure out who's who and what's what. Yeah, I just think they got some young guys, and I feel like when you have these kind of guys who are this young, it just takes time for them to learn a complicated system. Like when you go to Kansas City, you know, you're not just playing the X receiver and you line up there. You're playing every position. You know, in a quarter, you'll play each of them multiple times. So it takes a lot to learn that offense and to learn the nuance in zone or man, you know, or match coverages. And I feel like right now they're getting there. They're just not quite there yet. But I see signs that, you know, for me, you always want to say, are they going to be better in a month than they are now? Some teams are going to be like, no. Kansas City will improve as the season goes on as long as these guys continue to, you know, be healthy and have a chance to, like, get them the reps that they need.
You know we like to go assignment, alignment, execution. Somebody's assignment in this entire secondaries was going to be to try and shut down Justin Jefferson. We have not seen Justin Jefferson shut down to the tune of this in a very, very long time. And he was a $150 plus all season long. For this Kansas City secondary to go out and do what they did, put this on tape, how emboldening is that for a defense as they try and move forward through a season, get better with every week?
That was one of the biggest things when I came in, was watching the tape. I was like, this is the best secondary I've seen Kansas City have in a long time. And we talked about on air, they allocated the resources a couple years ago to go draft these guys. And, you know, they have some real game difference makers. And when I say that, I mean Snead is playing outstanding. Moved him outside. McDuffie went inside, and they're playing at an incredibly high level. And then Watson on the outside with his length, who came on as a 5th rounder last year, was surprising, and now he's playing good. I mean, to me, this is what's allowing Spagnuolo to just come after teams consistently, because you just believe these guys can cover. Minnesota, on the other hand, has to play these zones, these softer. They're blitzing a lot, and I think Flores is getting the most out of him. He's doing an exceptional job, you know, by not giving up big plays and still coming after teams. But I do believe that Kansas City right now is much better than people realize on defense.
Road wins are hard to come by. The defense leading the way in this one. Tony Romo, we appreciate you as always.
Thanks, guys.
All right, here's a look at that head-to-head between these two teams. 27-20 tells you the story of a close football game, as does the total yards. But the turnovers, Kansas City actually giving it away here as well. Still, no W for Minnesota. Empty. 1-4. Justin Jefferson held in check. Not the day you're looking for if you're a Vikings fan. All right, let's go deeper with Lige Douzable, Bryant McFadden here to break this one down. I'm waiting for the box score to refresh. Like, there's no way. There's no way.
I was surprised,
3
too.
for 28. Again, I surround myself with defenders as someone who enjoys the offensive side of the game. Tell me what you saw specifically that allowed them to keep Jefferson at such a limitation.
I mean, Tony hit it on the head, and I was going to mention it if he didn't. The way that L'Jarius Sneed is playing, there was times where he had Justin Jefferson in man coverage, but he played physical with Justin Jefferson at the line. So when Kirk Cousins tried to throw the ball to him, the timing was messed up because it was hard for Justin Jefferson to get off the press. Trent McDuffie, sometimes they had him on him. He would get physical with Justin Jefferson. They didn't have an overhang safety. So they made life difficult for Justin Jefferson, even though they motioned him around and everything. Great communication in the back end as far as passing things off. We've seen that in the past where guys pass things off and Justin Jefferson is wide open. But Kansas City Chiefs secondary was up to the task today. I just like the physicality they came out with. They put hands on Justin Jefferson and made it a long day for him today.
And the unique thing, the good thing about Jefferson and Kirk Cousins' relationship is based on timing. So when you have a defender in the face of Justin Jefferson and he understands and knows that I can be extremely aggressive to mess up the beginning of the timing with their route and throwing the ball concept, I'm okay with that because, as you mentioned, Leger, what we didn't see from the TV copy was a lingering safety, the ultimate traffic cop, keeping everything in front of him, but also he's devoting extra attention to the side of 18. So now, as a corner, when I know I have that safety help over the top, but pre-snap alignment, it looks like it's a single high concept, I know I can't get beat deep. So I can be extremely aggressive. And they beat him up. They did a nice job at the line of scrimmage, and that messed up the timing. And oh, by the way, you can't forget about Stone Cold Jones. Chris Jones and the crew harassed Captain Kirk for 4 quarters. That pocket was collapsing from start to finish. So when you can put pressure on a guy like Kirk Cousins with only 4 guys, he's not going to be comfortable to go through his progressions to be able to hit an elite-like wide receiver in Justin Jefferson. A heck of a game plan for the defensive side with the Kansas City Chiefs. And I'll say this much too, guys. The Chiefs defensively, they've been balling. I understand all the attention go to Money Pat Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, right? Deserving so. But that defense, this might be, Tony Romo said so, talking about the secondary might be one of the best secondaries we've seen in a long time. I'll say this about the entire defense. Their defense might be one of the best defenses we've seen in a long time, and that says a lot when you talk about some of the championship defenses they've had.
Well, that's why another thing that Tony said that caught my ear is I don't think everybody realizes how good Kansas City is right now and how good they're getting and going to be. We know they know what it takes to get to the mountaintop, how many swings of the axe it takes to chop down that tree. But swinging it a little differently this year with defense first, when you take into account that experience, we know Kansas City's going to be circled on everybody's schedule, Deuce, but just how good are they right now in respect to their ceiling, where you expect them to be?
Well, I think you make an interesting point, Moose, because it is kind of led by their defense, and they played a lot of rookies, more specifically in the secondary last year. I mean, Trent McDuffie, Williams, Watson, all those guys were rookies last year, so you would always think, right, going into your second year, and B-Mac, you know this, that's usually where you see the biggest jump, and right now, Trent McDuffie is playing at an all-pro level, so yes, this team has looked a lot different because you're used to, like you said, the Kansas City Chiefs going out there putting up 50 points. Well, they're not doing that right now. They're led by their defense. Don't make any mistakes on offense because they have so many young receivers that are trying to find themselves. They're trying to find their identity on offense. And we saw when Travis Kelce went out of the game, they struggled a little bit. But in Travis Kelce form, he came back in that game. I don't know what happened to him when he went into that locker room, but he put up a quick 6 points, right, and was an outlet for Patrick Mahomes on multiple occasions. They just have in syncness about each other where he knows where to line up in zone coverage and Patrick Mahomes can find him. But this is a lot different than when Patrick Mahomes is throwing for 300, 400 yards, right? He's not doing that right now. That defense is stifling people on offense, and they are matriculating the ball down the field. Isaiah Pacheco got involved in the game. Yes, he didn't have a large yard per average, but they made sure they ran the ball effectively with him when they needed to.
It's 4-1 and back to the crib for a short week as they will take on the Broncos on Thursday night. Lige Douzable, Bryant McFadden, thank you as always. Here's some more numbers out of Sunday. Longest QB win streak against teams 2 or more games below 500. You better come correct at Money Pat Mahomes, if I may borrow from the great Bryant McFadden. You better be 500. You better be better if you want to be better than him. If you ain't, you ain't. 24 straight such wins against teams 2 games or more below 500.